Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Dimas Aditya Pratama from 5C, and I'm gonna explain about my proposal. The title is Error Analysis on English Diphthong Pronunciation in SMK 1 Pangkalan Kerinci. There is two chapter, chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 1 is Introduction. 1.1 Background of the research. Interaction that is through speaking. When learning a second language, learner will have exposure to different levels of linguistic knowledge, including how to pronounce the sounds of words so as to be able to communicate in that language. It is beyond dispute an axiomatic manifestation that pronunciation is the essential vehicle for communication that learners shall highly take into consideration if an effective and successful communication is the goal. And the entire communicative process is achieved through oral activities, and pronunciation is a vital part of fruitful communication. Schmidt on 2002 volume 219 defined it as a term used to capture all aspects of how we employ speech sound for communication. The uniqueness of language makes language has an important role in daily life. Language helps people to create their opinion or idea in social interactions, and it can help them to describe their meaning, things, and events. So the researcher opinions to conduct a research to entitled Error Analysis on English Diphthong Pronunciation. 1.2 Identification of the research. Based on the background, this research analyzes about pronunciation error and factor error diphthong pronunciation in SMK 1 Pangkalan Kerinci. 1.3 Focus on the research. This research focuses on pronunciation error and factor error diphthong pronunciation in SMK 1 Pangkalan Kerinci. 1.4 Research questions. The problem of the research formulated as these following questions is only one. What diphthong pronunciation errors in SMK 1 Pangkalan Kerinci? 1.5 Objective of the research. The objective of this study is aimed 1. To find out the diphthong pronunciation problems produced in SMK 1 Pangkalan Kerinci. 1.6 Significance of the research. The study expects to give the valuable knowledge for the further studies, readers, teachers, and writers about an error diphthong pronunciation, and also expect to provide the information for the English teacher and bilingual speakers in communicating with other people. 1.7 Defining of the key terms. 1.7.1 Diphthong. According to Kelly, diphthong is the combination of vowel sounds. Different from Kelly, Wayland mentioned that a diphthong is kind of vowel sounds with a special feature. There is deliberate glide made from one vowel position to another vowel position, and which is produced in one syllable. And according to Roach, the total number of diphthongs is 8. The easiest way to remember them is in terms of three groups that divide in diagram. 1.7.2 Pronunciation is a way to say a word. In Oxford Dictionary, pronunciation is a way in which a language or particularly word or sounds is spoken. Besides that, let's see. State that pronunciation is the act of giving the true sounds of letters in words and the true accent and quantity of syllables. These are very obvious characteristics, and one of the other will be perceived by the learner when encountering the item for the first time. In teaching, these are some activities which can be used for teaching pronunciation. They are 1. Repeat or imitate. 2. Give example of sounds or stress at the initial, middle, and final position and ask students to read. 3. Put sounds in minimal pairs and ask students to pronounce. 4. Contrast the stress or sounds of the first and the target language. 5. Use a simple diagram of the organs of speech to show how to produce certain sounds. 1.8 Grand theory. Diphthongs are forms of vowel in which a constant gliding motion connects to vowel sounds. State that a sound is called a diphthong when produced by gliding through one letter to the next. Mention that English has 9 diphthongs in all. These 9 diphthongs can be categorized as closing and countering diphthongs in closing diphthongs. There are 5 diphthongs: a, o, I, ow, and a. There are 4 diphthongs in centering diphthongs: e, o, a, and al. The most important thing to remember about this all diphthongs is that the first part of that is the first part is considerably longer and stronger than the second part. 1.9 Methodology of research. 1.9.1 Research design. Breman and Bell 2007 state that qualitative research is a research strategy to indicate the relationship between technology and research and usually emphasize on how theories were generated. As a researcher, strategic qualitative research in activities, construction and interpretation, but qualitative researchers always don't subscribe to all three of these methods. The writer used questionnaire in this research and the purpose of this study make are to find of the diphthong pronunciation problems produced in SMK 1 Bangkalan Kerinci. 1.9.2 Search of data. The source of data took from the English teacher who teach SMK 1 Bangkalan Kerinci. The writer took the data when the English teacher teach English use diphthong pronunciation. This is the table from search of the data. The researcher took the record from the teacher who teach in English class. 1.9.3 Instrument of research. According to Ari as quoted from Ramawati, there is 3 kinds of instrument, namely observation, questionnaire, and documentation. However, in order to make this research can run effectively and efficiently, the research uses documentation. 1.9.4 Data collection technique. There is a few of data collection technique. 9.9.5 Data technology technique. In this study, the researcher analyzed the data from pronunciation tests. The data from pronunciation tests were checked based on correctly and incorrectly pronunciation in the students. The researcher checked the study's ability and the study's error in pronunciation English diphthongs by identifying their pronunciation based on the 9 kinds of diphthongs. There is a formula and the scores to chapter 2 Review of related literature. 2.1 Pronunciation. Pronunciation is one of the important components of speaking, as stated by Dimas 1996. Speaking is integrated skill that consists of a language component. These components are vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and the fluency of expressing ideas. In speaking English, we must have the ability of mastering the component of speaking above. Pronunciation includes pronunciation itself, and it provides the basic knowledge of the sounds, including the stressed, syllable, rhythm, and intonation. Pronunciation can be defined as the way certain sounds or sounds are produced, like stress, yeah, the pronunciation of word in a certain sounds or sounds are produced. 2.2 Segment phonemes. Segmental phonemes are phonemes that can be segmented into the individual parts. It consists of consonant and vowel, including diphthongs. Nurhadi 1997. Consonants are sounds which are produced with some block in the air system. Harris 1969. In Ramawati 2007. According to Nurhadi 1997, he states that consonants are speech sounds which are produced with some obstruction of the air. 2.3 Problem in pronunciation. As the people have more comprehension on the importance of pronunciation, they are also aware that there might be a problem with the pronunciation itself. In this case, English, which is well known as international language, also has difficult. People who learn to speak English will figure out that learning process is not easy as they think, because in English there are several aspects this need to be comprehended, such as grammar, vocabulary, intonation, pronunciation, and stress. Okay, that's all of my. Thank you. If we have any mistake, I'm sorry. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.